William Clouston is here, a man who is of Scottish heritage, if that's the right phrase.
That's right.
As indeed am I, although Kevin O'Sullivan always has a go at me whenever I say it, and I'm waiting for his text to say, "You're not Scottish."
No, you're Scottish.
Well, I am Scottish. I was
yeah.
born in London, but I was of Scottish parents. And so I would love to see the union continuing. So I'm very happy with this ruling today. It was always going to be the case. Nobody was ever going to overthrow the Constitution, because I said this to Kate Hoey. When devolution was granted, it did not include the right for Scotland to basically just segregate itself off without any reference to anybody else.
That's right. I mean, it doesn't have the right unilaterally to do that. You'd expect the SNP to try and do what they've done. I accept that. But I'm relieved, Mike, today. I'm relieved of ruling. I don't want to...
It's a good piece of news.
Yeah, I don't want the country split up. And, you know, I have 5 close family members that live in Strathclyde. We've got Orcadian links, and, you know, I'd be very upset if the union ended. I think the big I mean, apart from the legal ruling, which is important, you know, you've got to respect that, but it's the political side that's important. You know, people have to get used to respecting votes. And Sturgeon, in her own little way, is a bit like Trump. You know, you have 2014, you have a referendum, and they don't respect it. And it's about time we started respecting the way people vote.
Yeah.
On their own literature, they put a generational decision. Well, that would be mid-2030s.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Exactly right. And, of course, their argument is, well, it changes now because we moved out of the European Union. Well, not really, because there was nothing written into that.
No.
There was nothing that said this is a referendum that takes place while these set of circumstances are applicable. In the same way that the now rejoiner types who are saying, well, it's very clear that Brexit isn't working, so let's just have another referendum. Well, no, that's not how it works. You're saying it doesn't work. You're saying that now is the time to have another referendum. Yeah. That's not the democratic process.
No, it's not, and it wasn't the question on the ballot paper. You know, and they've got, as I say, they've got to accept the result. The European issue is troubling for many people, but actually, I make a point that although most Scots voted to remain in the European Union, we wouldn't have left without Scottish votes. Remember that.
Well, let's remember also that more people voted to leave the European Union in Scotland than they did for independence.
Yes, yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Which is the other thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this kind of plays into Nicola Sturgeon's hands, though, because she will say, look at them, they're all against us, and so privately, even though she might not be saying it publicly, privately she'll be telling people the English establishment is against us.
Well, yeah, doesn't bear any facts, does it? I mean, the English establishment, the English people are not against the Scottish people, and the British government, actually, the settlement for Scotland is very, very generous.
Yeah.
If you look at health spending or transport spending or education spending per head, it's higher in Scotland than it is in England. I'm from the North East. If you read the Journal and the Northern Echo, if you read the letters pages in there, a lot of people in the North East say, you know, they want shot of Scotland. They're now upset because they don't get as much spent in the North East. It's an uncomfortable situation in some ways. I think the deal with the British government overall with Scotland is to pay them enough money so they don't leave. It's quite crude, really. Yeah. I mean, you know, we have to be honest about this, Mike. Citizens are not being treated on a par. No. The Scots have a very good deal.
But it's a curious system, isn't it? Because here we are paying Scotland to stay, and then we're paying the European Union to leave.
Yes,
so,
yes.
We sort of just keep paying people, basically.
Get it from both ends.
Yeah, but it's our money.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't give them permission to do either of those things.
I would urge, I mean, English people that say, you know, get rid of Scotland doesn't matter. I think sometimes... you know, particularly the Southern English taxpayer is a net contributor to Scotland, but you've got to ask what you get for that, Mike. I mean, it's a crude thing, this. It really is a crude thing. What do we get? What does the sort of English voter get for having Scotland bought into the Union? What we get is probably prevents Scotland going. If Scotland went and decided to do a military alliance with China or Russia, you could end up with a Russian base or Chinese base in Orkney. I'm sort of being a bit flippant, but that's what you prevent.
Here. Well, I mean, maybe the question is not what do you prevent, it's what do you lose? Because I think perhaps what the government isn't very good at doing, and in Scotland the SNP won't do, is to talk about the attributes of Scotland, to talk about the way that Scotland is a part of a whole.
For sure.
Which makes us better. I believe Britain is better together. I know that sounds like a slogan, because it was. But I do believe that it is. I think Britain without Scotland would be a less good place.
Diminished, much diminished.
Yeah, totally.
Not just, I mean, just the intellectual tradition's massive. No, I'd be very, very upset if... I'm hoping, what I hope is, no one knows, but I'm hoping that this is the sort of, you know, the high watermark of the SNP's activities. And you know, obviously you've got this stuck situation because they control Holyrood, but I think at the next general election, it's quite likely that Labour will take some seats off the SNP, and again. I mean, Sturgeon said today that, you know, the fact that they won't have the referendum means that the next general election is a referendum. Well, I bet they probably wouldn't win that. Or certainly they'll lose seats. They'll be a net loser.
Yeah, I think the SNP sort of lustre has gone. I think Nicola Sturgeon's image has changed dramatically since COVID, because through COVID, because she was seen as a very draconian leader, certainly by a lot of moderate people that I know in Scotland, some of whom did vote for her, but who now will never vote for her again.
Yeah.
A bit like the Tories, you know.
Well, it also means that what it's meant for the Scottish citizen, for the Scottish taxpayer, is that they haven't been very well governed, because this preoccupation, to refer all of our problems onto independence or being in the Union is false. I mean, as I say, health spending is comparatively generous compared to England and Scotland and so on. I think that a lot of Scots see it as a distraction, and actually it probably deters an investment as well.
But let's talk about distractions, because we have Prime Minister's questions today. I don't know yet what the sort of the main thrust of Keir Starmer's attack line will be, but we are in a kind of terrible limbo, it seems to me, where nothing's really happening. It feels like we're sort of walking through treacle or spinning wheels in the sand. Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt are trying to convince us that, you know, we must have some pain in order to escape from these terrible clutches of economic demise. I mean, I don't think they know what they're doing.
No, they don't. We're at the end of it now. They've had 12 years, haven't really taken anything seriously. It's been a disastrous record overall. Economically poor, haven't dealt with any of the fundamental problems. You know, as I've said,
many problems have got worse.
Many problems have got worse, and actually the autumn statement, the budget statement, really was. I'd argue that the causes of all this stuff go way, way back, and what he's dealing with are the symptoms. He's sort of firefighting. But until we learn to produce a bit more, until we learn to reindustrialise, make a bit more here, make and buy and sell more here in the UK, deal with the trade deficit, you'll just accumulate debt, and then they're firefighting, and they wonder why public spending is so high. Public spending is so high because we're dealing with economic failure. They haven't got a plan. Even the basics, as I say, I mean, you said that your first hour was, you know, a little bit upsetting for some people, but look, the way to get even and get happy is via the ballot box. And I would urge everyone, just think about it. Think, have you been well governed? Also think, would Keir Starmer be any better? I don't think he would.
No. So therefore there is no salvation at the ballot box then, is there? Because you're stuck with this two-party system whereby if you either vote for what's been here for 12 years, which has had various incarnations of not very much success and terrible dereliction of duty, to be honest. Then you've got Keir Starmer and his kind of, you know, ludicrous mantra of nothingness. You know, if you were to have a description or an embodiment of a pyramid of piffle, it's Keir Starmer, surely, right?
Yeah. No, it's right. But last time I was on, Mike, you know, that afternoon, you know, a few weeks ago, we announced this electoral pact with Reform UK, and we're very excited about it. It's a limited pact, but it's a no-stand pact. In our key target seats in the next general election, Reform won't be standing in them, and we won't be standing in theirs. And we've got a special deal in South Yorkshire.
And have you identified sort of individual seats that you could be successful in?
Well, we're a small party. Success is thousands of votes for us. I honestly, Mike, if I came on here and said we're going to win loads of seats, people would think, you know, nurse, carry this man away. Be realistic. You know, Reform are a bigger party.
No, I get that. But what I'm saying is, if you've got a pact with Reform, you must have some hope that it will be successful in some places. You'll get a seat.
We in South Yorkshire, I think we'll do very, very well. We'll see. Wait and see. The electoral dynamics there suit us absolutely perfect. The sort of faith, flag and family, patriotic left, you know, a little bit old-fashioned considered by some, goes down very well there. And we've got this deal with them, and I think we'll do very well there. I don't know. It's difficult to predict, but I would just urge people to stop voting for these awful duopoly zombie parties. That's the way to deal with this. Build something better. Okay.
Let's talk about the rail strikes. You think that there should be and will be a settlement?
I want there to be a settlement, Mike. I've argued pretty much from the start that what the RMT were actually asking for, which is 7%, was entirely reasonable when inflation is at 11%, basically. You know, they're actually arguing for a pay cut. They're not asking for very much, and you know, we've given them support in that. Most of their members haven't had a pay rise in 3 years. I think. I mean, funnily enough, the structure of how we deal with our railways in this country is not helping this. Because
the railways are knackered in this country. I mean, when they are on strike, sometimes actually the service is more reliable than when they're not.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a piece in The Sun yesterday by one of the editors of Fabulous magazine who said, I'm now actively being prevented from seeing members of my family because the train services are so useless. You can't book a train without knowing that it's going to be cancelled. You can't be sure that you can take a holiday using trains because they might not be working.
You lose reliability.
Unbelievable.
You lose patronage straight away if that's the case. And even, you know, say to our major cities, London, the capital, to Manchester, Andy Burnham has been right in speaking up against the atrocious service offered. But I'll just get back to this point about the structure, because the RMT and the other unions are negotiating with 14 different entities and the rail authority hovering around, and then you've got the transport secretary every time they're trying to get close to a deal say, actually, no, I don't think we can do it. Frankly, it would be easier. We propose that railways should be brought into public ownership again, a proper integrated system from Caithness to Cornwall, make it something that we can be proud of, invest in it, and get people back on the railways. But
hang on, you say invest in it, we've got HS2, that's an investment in the railways, isn't it?
Well, it's a terrible investment. I mean, it's about the worst.
I said that with some slight irony.
No, it's shocking. I mean, you know, yet again, this government has contrived to you know, I'm for good capital expenditure, nuclear power, you know, sensible things. But instead, this government's put money into about the worst project.
Well, this is it. You know, neglect the railways in general. Build one line which helps some people, but hasn't got ready and won't be ready probably till the day I die.
But the total subsidy to the franchisees, the total cost to the government of running railways is higher now than it was under nationalisation. That's so I'll fly this flag now. I'm hoping that the RMT's suggestion of major strikes pre-Christmas and after, I'm hoping that's up the ante and we get this 7% agreed and we can get on with our lives.
Well, I wish Mick Grinch would make up his mind, because he's ruining Christmas for everybody, including lots of children. So congratulations, Mick. Communism must be paying you very well. This is Talk TV. Thank you.